All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. If you guys don't mind, just give a little message in the chat box while we're getting started that where you're tuning in from and that you can hear me okay. I'd really appreciate that. Let's see. Cool. Thank you so much for letting me know that you can hear me. All good. Cool. 1 second. All right. So, my name is Maria. I work for Aerosports, and typically I'm just behind the scenes, sort of being a executive producer for the webinars, and then we've got a separate host. But tonight I am going to be the perfect example of a female who can multitask, I hope. And we have Karine and Greg tonight with us. Guys, can you hear me okay? And can you turn your video on? Let's give them a couple of minutes to sort it all out. You're in there. You guys are a little bit frozen right now, and I can't hear you. Let me try to mute you and unmute you then, and we'll see if that makes sense. It seems like I can't control any of your audio, Karine and Greg. 1 second. Okay, Karine and Greg, you might need to try to leave the call and maybe join back because there's something wrong with the audio. I can't seem to connect to you guys right now. We did just test everything and it worked perfectly, so maybe this is just a little Zoom glitch. Also, guys, can you give me some comments in the chat box? How was your experience tuning into Zoom tonight? We know that Zoom had changed something over the weekend with their security. Did you guys need to use the password to get into the meeting? If somebody could just give me a message in the chat box, that'd be really cool so we know what to do with the future webinars as we go forward. New link worked with no password. Okay, bit.ly. Okay, so it seems like the bit.ly link you needed a password, but the new link you could access directly. So, all right. Cool. So we will look into that and make sure that it will be a little bit less friction experience for the future. Okay, let's try and get these Frenchies online now. Karine and Greg, I've unmuted you. Can we hear you now?
Yes. We can. Yes. So sorry, I don't know what happened.
Hello.
All right, perfect, awesome. All right, so we're going to dive right in. I will put a couple of housekeeping things first for everyone though. So participants, your mics are currently muted, but if you'd like to ask a question live, if you hover your mouse on top of the video, you'll see there's a little participants icon in the bottom. Just click on that and you'll see the whole participant list with a couple of different icons below. There's a little blue hand-shaped icon that means that you can raise your hand if you have a question, and then we can unmute you and you can turn your video on and you can ask the question live. Or just feel free to put questions through in the chat box and we'll see to try and get to all of them, all right? So Karine and Greg, welcome. Bonjour.
Bonjour, madame.
Beautiful south of France. I'm a little bit jealous sitting indoors in New Zealand and looking at where you guys are. So nice.
It's good to be in New Zealand too.
All right. Well, listen, for some people might have not met you yet, so why don't you just start by introducing yourselves, you know, tell us your names, where you're from, where you live, if that's not clear yet. You know, how many jumps do you have, what your history at skydiving is, how long you've been jumping, and so forth.
So I'm Greg Crozier. I'm very close to 8,000 jump. I started more than 20 years ago now. And yeah, we just did 10 years of free flight competition with Karine.
So yes, I'm Karine. I used to be an interior designer and for years, and I quit my job in 2014 to be full-time skydiving, and we started competing together in 2009, and here we are. We don't have a place to call home really, because we're still on the move all the time, so we're homeless kind of, but yeah, it's fun.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I was thinking about when I met you guys for the first time, and I think that was 2013 on the women's record. I was like a baby skydiver back then, and Karine was the pod closer in front of me on the record, and I ended up burbling her, and really badly actually. And yeah. And yeah, and that kind of caused me to be kicked out of the whole record experience. And Karine is such a strong, beautiful flyer. Like, she struggled a little bit, but sorted it out. But that's how we met and became friends. But it's been a while. It seems like forever.
Wow.
So I know that you guys are, you know, you've been pioneering from your own country with skydiving, and you're setting such a great example for everyone. So we wanted to have a little chat with you guys tonight about competitions, bigways, and the preparation, and, you know, get all the hot tips from you guys for everyone. So why don't we start from you guys maybe just telling us about your first competition experience, what it was, what kinds of tips might you give yourselves now looking back?
Wow, I remember it was a different format than what we use now. We still had the speed rounds in the sky. So the compulsories weren't moves like we have now. It was like foot to foot and 69 and double spock and stuff like that. So
cool stuff, huh?
we had to make it quick in a row, and we had to count the points of how many times we managed to do it in the same jump. And I remember my first competition was with this format, and I was so stressed. I don't know, like every night going back to the room for the next day, I was like, man, I didn't expect that much stress to deal with. So now with all the experience of all the competition I've done, I would say, well, figure it out quick, because actually I only figured out how to really manage my stress on the last competition that we've done at the World.
To master it, you mean? But you were doing a good job already.
It was like improving every time, but like I really found like a big key, and it made a big difference for the last competition. So I would say, yeah, try to look into that direction, like try to know yourself and go deep into introspection to find out your way to deal with stress.
So what are the key things for you that you use? Is it, you know, breathing exercises or good food, or what is it? What makes a difference for you?
I would say it depends on people. Like Karine just answered about the stress. So it's gonna depend on people. If you did already competitions in martial arts or whatever, if you're already dealing with a lot of people in your company, you never know the background, and this is very personal. But for sure, you have to deal with many parameters, and you have to commit for years, because every year you're gonna learn something, because you're gonna anyway do mistakes, and that's the thing I think about competition. You have to prepare everything, the physics, the mental, and managing the stress, and improvement, and be creative, and the list is endless. And also you have to commit mistakes anyway and say, so for me, I think the best thing is to be self-critical, like a lot. So not keep after every jumps, because I should have done that, I shouldn't have done that, for sure, but still do that a little bit all the time.
So kind of give yourself a review after each year on how you improved and what next. So what you're basically saying is you get to know yourself better and better and better over the time.
You do a big one of this after each year, but after each jump, actually, you do a little bit of this. This is why we love indoor skydiving and bigways as well, because I think it's the same rules. You have the same objective, and you have to improve yourself all the time for you and for the team.
Yeah, right. And so how long did you say that Airwax has been together? That's your team.
Yeah, thank you for letting me answering. So that's funny story because of this virus, we have to hide somewhere. We have to choose a place to crash for, we don't know, 1 month, 2 months. So we just find out at the last minute, oh, let's hide in this big house that my grandfather has in the south of France because it's empty. And it's actually in this place that we took the decision. It was October 2008 that we managed to decide, okay, we're going to do a team, a free fly team, and where we find out about the name, because finding the name is also very hard. So it's in this place that we find build a team and created the team and build and find the name.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a really cool story. So a special place for you. And what about like has the team always had the same members, or has there been a little bit of rotation with your videographers? And is it only free fly that you've competed in, or has it also been something else?
So it was only free fly since the beginning, but we had many different camera guys through the years. Yeah, it's hard to find someone that is ready to dedicate so much in his life as you. And when we say so much, it's so much time, so much investment in your whole life, like not only financial, which is also an aspect to that is really important, but yeah, how deep he wants to keep going and keep improving, and yeah, what he sees in competition and everything. So it's really hard to find someone on the same settings than you are. So we had different people for that.
Kind of one different every year. Yeah, because it has to match. I mean, it depends. It just depends of what do you think you have to do. So, I mean, what is the goals of the year? So it doesn't have to be super high. It doesn't have to be, oh, we want to be on the world championship. It just has to match with the 3 members the same, because if not, for sure, one guy is going to be pulling the team a back way or something. So you just have to find a good teammate, good balance.
Hey, Jessica, sorry, I just saw your question. I didn't have the the window open.
So Jessica's asked a question, just wondering if you guys look at your scores during the competition.
Okay, so that's a really good question.
Good question.
Actually, I found out that my way of managing my stress, one of the way to manage my stress was to be more self-confident. And I think I'm not wrong if I say it's typical feminine to always beat yourself up and be like, you're not good enough, and this is where you want to go, and this is where you are, and blah, blah, blah. So for me, definitely not looking at the scores of either us or the other competitors helped me a lot to just stay focused on my performance and not being distracted by, oh man, fuck, we're 2 points behind or whatever, you know? So definitely through the years, I figured out it was helping me not to look at whatever was going on and stay focused.
Yeah, that's some great advice for sure. I can imagine that for different people will work different ways. And yeah, I hear you about, saying the whole feminine aspect of beating yourself up about things a little bit too much. So yeah, can totally understand. So so just before we kind of go further into talking about competition, we spoke about like how to match team members, but also I'm curious, like you said that, how much you train, that obviously depends on the team, but how do you balance out, like what's enough, or is it just, what's the realistic goal? What are your tips in terms of if there's somebody who kind of wants to get into a team, how to start? Like, where do you start looking into how much to train and how to form the team?
That's, for me, that's a combination of a lot of questions, this question, because again, you have to train as much as you can, but there is a limit for sure. If you overtrain, you're going to start to decrease the performances because it's too much to take for the team. Because every time you do an improvement or every time you had a new move, you add some pressure because you have to make this move work all the time, and all this increasement increment, I don't know if it's good, of performances that you want to produce, it takes more pressure for the team. So that was my point. So maybe sometimes, some year, it's good to stop at 200 jumps because you had so many new moves. And if you overtrain, you're going to say, oh, it's going to be better, but actually it's just going to maybe show you more details that is going to be hard to compensate or whatever. So it depends on the year. I think if you can do 300, that's the best, 300 jumps a year. But it's so much money and depends on so many good conditions, weather conditions. Sometimes you can't do that. But doing 400 jumps, 500 jumps, I don't think it's going to be help for you.
I think we've done 200 and around 250 for most of the years, and that was way enough for us at the time to do whatever we needed to do. Yeah, too much is not good as well.
So basically it just kind of comes down to what your budget is and your goals are in terms of the level of the competition that you're in. And I guess I'm asking this, like, even though I'm no longer skydiving myself, but what about, like, do you guys get to fun jump when you're like full on in competition mode? Is it just training for competition, or do you still fun jump?
No, when you're on the setting for competition, you don't really we didn't really allow ourselves to fun jump. Maybe sometimes when we saw that we were struggling with a move that we wanted to try to get, and it didn't work out, sometimes we would say, okay, what the fuck, let's go just the three of us and make a no plan jump. But that was rare, but it happened sometimes. If we were blocking on something and we couldn't, or we got angry, or we could feel the electricity in the air or something, we would just go for a no plan freeway jump. Sometimes it's important.
That's great. So just as a way also to just relieve the stress a little bit from the situation. That's great. Yeah. So what about then, okay, like obviously you need to jump a lot, you fly in the tunnel. What about other kind of exercise, or like do you go on a special diet, or how do you fully prepare? Do you visualize? Like what are your best tips for that side of things that is outside the tunnel or the actual skydive?
Maybe to have the good base of the team at the beginning. Maybe set the good base from the beginning. Like if one guy is very heavy and one guy very light, maybe find at the beginning the solution to get close to what is the best balance. But then just maintain this balance that you have. Because if you change this with the month or the year, then it's going to be an extra parameter. So you want to get rid of everything that can interfere your progression. So if you're very heavy, just manage to find a different suit that's going to help. And then that's something that you have to leave behind. So you're going to keep the same way to feed yourself and to train yourself, and you just keep it all the time the same.
Are you asking this?
What I'm hearing is French cheese and wine goes throughout the year. Like, no need to let go of that.
Sorry.
Maybe you missed this one.
Sorry, I was just I just wanted to add, I don't think there's a particular diet, because our sport is way more flexible than like gymnastic or other like type of sports. But for sure, we did look out for the world competition to make sure we didn't have so much difference between Greg and I. We already have really different body shapes, so we just wanted to make the weight a little more matching. Yeah. So we went down to only 10 kilos difference instead of like 17, which was a good thing first. And yeah, but the rest is more like we're French, so the diet was mostly made of wine and cheese, as you said in the.
No, but yeah, the thing is, I think it's best to keep what is the rhythm, what makes you happy. I have this very good story from a friend, Bastien from Gap, and he has an issue one time to pass an exam for the AFF instructor, because the last week before passing the exam, he switched totally his lifestyle. He used to have his beer every night and have this normal life, and he stopped that. And the new kind of stress that he was not used to deal with arrived in his mind, because he was not doing what he was used to do every day. And he didn't pass the exam on this year. He had to represent and to do it again. And that shows you that just keep on doing what you have to do normally, what makes you happy, normally. if you like to eat, just eat like all the time, but just maintain this all the time so you can be focused on improving your mental solidity, to visualize more the jumps, so you can be more available to make your team being better. So your lifestyle has to be set at the beginning of your team's history, team's life adventure, yes. But then don't pay attention to it. Just maintain it because it makes you happy. It's how you are since the beginning. So if you change that, I don't think it's the best thing. Like, and Karine has the example also with the Rambo team from Australia.
We love you guys. Even though you're fat, but it's okay.
So don't give a shit.
Sorry, I just saw questions from Jan regarding yoga via strength training. So we're not really yoga people ourselves. We would like to, but maybe we just started like yoga for very dummies, like beginners, since we're here for quarantine. But before that, we both had a background of a lot of years of karate. And I guess this helped us a lot for free flying. Again, I think, I always think there's a little different approach from being a woman than a guy into skydiving, obviously. But I think really for the woman, my advice would be like go more for strength, because it's easier for women to be flexible or maybe soft because we're might be a little more sensitive or whatever, I don't know. But I think it would help a lot for free fly if you go more thinking about your jump as a fight and make your muscles strong and kick into the air and be strong into the wind, or the wind will do whatever he wants with your body. So definitely I would recommend to go more for the strength for women. Then for guys, if you're already tense, it doesn't make sense to keep on going for strength. So you would go more for yoga. I guess it's always adapting to what you are.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, so definitely focusing on balancing on like what your body needs most, not necessarily what you're good at already naturally, but strengthening whatever might be your weakness. Before we move back further into, because I really want to get into those big ways, I want to ask you, so you guys are quarantined as well. Like, do you know at all how long you're going to be still quarantined?
The government said officially, like they keep on pushing back the dates. So at first it was only the 2 weeks. Then when we arrived to the end of the 2 weeks, they said another 2 weeks. So for now we're quarantined until the 15th of April. But I think they'll probably go a little further because we're still going up with the numbers of people getting in a hospital. So I guess until we reach the peak and then start to go down, there's no point to let people out before that.
Yeah, exactly. We're in New Zealand. We've been quarantined for 2 weeks this week and a couple of days. So we're in the same boat. So waiting for another 2 weeks at least, and then see. But at least you've got a beautiful place. So lucky you. Listen, so if we go back further into big ways, and I can see that there's a couple of questions popping in, but we'll take them as we go. So guys, feel free to ask questions. Also, feel free to raise your hand if you want to ask your questions live. If there's anybody who wants to say their question en français, we welcome that as well. And then Karine and Greg might explain it in French and English both. We have about 15 minutes of time left, so we still have time. But let's go for the big ways. So I guess one of the questions I wanted to ask you guys is, what do you think is the biggest difference between preparing yourselves for the big ways or competition? What's the difference there?
Yeah, to me, I think it's personal again, but to me, it's kind of the same. Like you set the goal of what you want to reach. So for big ways, it's a little bit easier because the goal is to have this big formation, but it's still a team. It's instead of being a team of 3 members or 5 members, if you do 4-way, FS or whatever, it's a team of 60 people or 100 or 200, but it's still a team. So you have to do the best of yourself all the time so you can help the team, but also don't make yourself in this bubble that you don't pay attention anymore to what's going on sometimes you have to slow down a little bit so you can leave somebody in front of you doing his job. Sometimes you have to, I don't know. Yeah, it's a teamwork. So if you do the best of your jump, it's what I used to explain in free fly. Because it's a three-way, if I do the best jump of my life, I only did 33% of the job. So it's not going to help the notation if I'm the only one. But if I fly for Karine and if I fly for Baptiste, and I do my best also inside of me, then the team is going to be better. So the big way for me is another way to feel, experience that.
I would say it's pretty similar, of course, because in a way that if you put too much pressure again on yourself because you want to be the best you can be for the team or whatever, if you focus too much on your performance, then you'll probably end up fucking up. I'm talking about experience here, either in the team or either in big ways. Like my last big way was the head up world record, and I fucked it up big time. I had like a very cool pot closer job to do, and the first jumps I didn't really think too much about it, and it happened. I did the job, and the more I start thinking about it, and the more I was like, fuck, this is way harder than I expected. And the levels, the fall rate was really slow and everything, and I was like, wow, this is gonna be way tougher than what I thought. And that's like, I started to put pressure on myself because I knew people were depending on me behind my back. So, and I started to fly like shit, and I started to do like really, really beginners error and mistakes, and I end up like being switched to another side of the formation, and it was like I deserved it so much, but it felt like crap, you know, like it felt like all the learning I had from the competition, I didn't manage to apply it to big ways because I didn't expect to be in this position, and it was a big learning again. So
like a part of that stress is also because, like, yes, it's a team, but now also you have less experience with all of those team members than compared to your free fly team. And is it also a question of how you learn to trust those people that you're jumping with?
No, I don't think I don't think it's about that. It's more about you want to do so much a good job to help the others, to help the team, to help the project, that you end up fucking it up because while you're not doing as good as you want it to, if you focus too much on, oh damn, what's going on, or instead of like reopening your mind and your visual and everything, then you just keep on dragging yourself down. So I guess I got just stuck into this sucking down energy, mental setting, whatever. But no, it's not because you don't trust the team. Actually, for my experience, every time I went to a record and people were asking me, wow, you're not scared to be like with 200 people in the sky? And my answer was always no, because I know if they are here, they can all do it. And so I trust the process of the training and and the selection before that. And I think everyone here is just trying to be the best and of their self, and they all have the potential technique to do it. So it's not about trust.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Listen, we've got about 10 minutes time, so we're going to start taking the questions that are rolling in as people have good stuff, and I have an opportunity to practice my French. So, Jérôme is asking, Greg, est-ce que sur le saut de big way, est-ce que vous faites une préparation mentale, visualisation avant chaque saut? So are you doing on the big ways a mental preparation and a visualization before each jump?
Yeah, so en français?
Ouais, in English.
And then English. Alors rapidement, évidemment, tous les sauts qu'on doit faire, que ce soit, parce que pour moi c'est vraiment la même chose, que ce soit un saut de compétition ou un saut de big way, c'est toujours une performance, un espèce de petit contrat qu'on signe avant le saut, de dire mon job c'est de faire ça pour moi et pour l'équipe, et donc forcément il faut visualiser le saut au sol et pendant l'avion et essayer de le vivre, de le réaliser en l'air. Et il faut avoir une attitude super positive pour que ça marche. Il ne faut pas se dire tiens, je suis en retard, tiens, je suis trop lourd. Il faut dire il faut que j'avance plus, il faut que je sois plus léger, il faut que je sois plus lourd. Il faut être dans Donc, constamment dans des trucs pas trop de pression sur soi-même, mais une amélioration positive tout le temps. You want me to say that in English, kind of?
Yeah, just a short version.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was saying to me it's the same. Like whatever, if it's a free fly competition jump or big way, because it's my picture to say it's kind of if you have to sign a contract, like you're gonna produce this performance for you and for the team, whatever the size of the team. So yeah, you just have to be focused on yourself and repeat the jump, of course, mentally on the ground. That's why you will practice a lot on the ground, so you have more time to process it and get rid of the pressure. And you repeat the jump in the plane. And when you're doing the jump, you have to stay positive. It's my way to do it. Like for the head up, because the head up, you have to go higher on the outside. I would say, I would not say myself, oh, I'm too heavy, oh, I'm too slow, whatever. I'm going to say, oh, I have to be lighter, yeah, closer, lighter, closer.
I'm going to help him to make it shorter, because I know
it was done. It was finished.
It's just basically every time you do your visualization, try to stay positive and always see the thing going perfectly, the perfect plan. That's it.
Thank you, Karine. That was, yeah, she did an excellent job explaining that. So next question's from Phoebe. She's asking, what's your guys' top tip for a free fly team who are working towards their first competition and just starting out?
Start with compulsory. Not too many moves, maybe 2 moves in the first jump, and until you make them look good, then you can pick another 2 different moves, but never try to go for the full 4 moves compulsory, for example, because you're going to end up like being rushed by the time, and always feel frustrating because you don't manage to do whatever you're trying to achieve. So if you always try to separate your blocks of move and get them 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 maximum, and just repeat.
Okay, I'm gonna add just quickly something. I can't say everything because it's part of the secret of being coach. But just one tip is I like to say just work on 10 seconds. Produce a sequence of 10 seconds carve or 10-second eagle or 10-second angle, and just try to repeat it 3 times in the same jump. This way you have the opportunity to almost do 3 times the same sequence, and that's going to help you a lot to do whatever you have to do, whatever is if it's compulsory or free round.
And maybe in addition to this one, there's another question asking about coaches. So how important do you see having a coach, and would you recommend having a coach from the beginning?
Well, for us in our history, we always worked solo. Only the first year when we were participating to camps where there were French teams and we weren't anything at the time, we had an opportunity to have someone trying to give us tips on how to start to train, and that's the only time that we ever had any advice. Then we were just doing everything. Yeah, it helped a lot. Then we did everything by ourselves, and for sure it would have helped a lot if we had a coach. But still manage yourself, like obviously it just takes longer.
Find a coach if you can. Of course, it's sometimes if you have to pay, for sure it can be a problem, an issue, but
it's worth it.
Yeah, you can also train with another team, close to another team, or you can just find just one competitor who did a lot of competition. Just find a way to have a little bit of tips or analysis of what you're doing, because if you go on your own in the dark, for sure you're going to lose years, for sure.
Yeah.
There's also a quick question about what's your recommendations for training camps in terms of like how many jumps per day would you do, or how many jumps per camp, how many camps per year?
So I think from all the training we've done, we figured that 10 jumps a day is the maximum to make something out of your jumps. If you can do more, then you start to get tired or something, and then it's not so much improving. So I would say between 8 and 10 jumps a day is the maximum you should try to achieve. And per year, we already talked about it before.
Beautiful. And there's one question from Jessica. She's also saying, like, what's been the biggest learning experience or lesson for you guys throughout your skydive career? If there's something that really stands out.
The thing is, I did so many mistakes in this career, so many. And the thing is, I think you have to live these mistakes to really learn them. It's about the history of the human being anyway. Even if your dad say, "Hey, don't do that," you have to do it to say, "Oh fuck, he was right." So just do this all these years. Try to learn. Try to not reproduce the mistakes, but some you have to do them anyway. So I don't know. It's hard, but commit to do teamwork, to do competition or big ways, because for me this is what is skydiving is also about. It's good to have great fun and don't think about anything, total freedom, but also to experience the improvement in the sky, like producing something nice and put the video on the ground, say, oh, this is what we done on the last jump. It's awesome.
Your question though was about like what was outstanding.
No, like, yeah, like what might have been something that really stands out in your skydiving career? Like, what's the biggest take or the lesson? You know, what is that like big thing for you that skydiving has actually taught you?
Wow, so many things.
Yeah, I just gonna say again, living this moment, like very positive and nice moment. Oh, we did that. And also because it's part of your skydiving life, all these big mistakes as well, if you learn from them, because it's gonna give you the contrast of everything you can experience. Like sometimes mistakes that are very nice to do as well, if it's stay safe, of course, because it's gonna teach you so much, and it's gonna take you to a better appreciation of the good jumps. When everything is good, you're like, wow, it's good, because also this didn't happen because I experienced that already, or we changed the program, we have this plan B because we experienced already, blah, blah, blah. So it's gonna take you to higher quality of skydiving all the time, this bad moment as well. So for me, it's like, just live and learn as much as you can, all the skydiving possibilities.
That's beautiful. Well, listen, we have a couple of minutes left only. And before we quit, I would like to just say, you know, tell us like what's next for Airwax, and when people want to come and follow you on social media, where can we find you? Uh-oh, were you able to hear me?
Hey, sorry, we got a little bit of, we got frozen.
Okay. So yeah, just tell us please, like, ooh, can we hear you? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just tell us like where, what's next for you guys as Airwax quickly, and where can people find you on social media?
So social media, we have each an account, Greg and I, and also the team account, Airwax Free Fly. So that's for Facebook. We also have on Instagram our own page and team page. So you can just write us private messages on either pages, greg.airwax on Instagram, and Karine.airwax on Instagram, or Airwax Free Fly. Anyway, just write us a private message on whatever media you want, and then we can answer you privately. And what's next? Basically, I think it's we're open for coaching a lot. Greg started to get into coaching, and that's what we like to do. Basically, we've been doing a lot of coaching in as well, but we're happy also to do it in the sky, and this is what we like to do.
And also quickly, so feel free to ask questions, advices. And the thing is, we have so many good friends now all around the world. If sometimes we are not the best to answer whatever questions, we know who has. So just ask us anything if you want. If you want to come with us to fly, just come. But if you have a special question and we can't have the answer, we're going to find out for you.
Okay, guys, we're running out of time, so I'm going to unmute everybody's mic. So 3, 2, 1, say fuck yeah.
Thank you, fuck yeah.
You few seconds to go. Thank you so much, Greg and Karine. Woo!
Bye.
Woogie
Have a good day.
2020.
Yeah.
Cheers.